Welcome back. Still under a red flag condition from Toyota Speedway at Irwindale. The Wheeling All-American late model 75. Just past the halfway point on this race. They're still working on that 65 car of George Atkinson Jr. Trying to get access to him to get him out. See the backboard, pink backboard that they're getting ready to help George Atkinson Jr. out. There you see Ricky James. He's out of his race car.
And that's a good sign. So once again, the safety crews and the safety rules of NASCAR come into play. And right now, we're going to try to be silent on the PA so the paramedics and the fire rescue crew can actually hear what they're trying to do.
And before they move the 62, they're wanting to make sure that the 65 doesn't move. And so they've stopped pulling the cars out of that area until they can get George out of his race car. George out of Lancaster, California, driving the Atkinson and Associates race car.
NASCAR is always going to err on the side of caution.
Let's head back trackside to Jim Trado.
We're going to take a walk over to this special young man who likes to race his race car and probably didn't have any wrecks like this in a stock car before. And Ricky, I got to wonder. All right, we can't talk to Ricky because he has to be cleared medically, but we can see that the cars are now being loaded, so that's a good sign that they're going to get that cleared away. Okay.
Again, 5 cars involved up against the wall. A chain reaction took place. The 15 of Rob Johnson Jr. didn't have as good a restart as Huddleston did on the inside. And so a few cars were checking up back behind him. And then one got turned completely around and they started to collect on the inside of the racetrack.
As usual, it was about 6 or 8 cars back before the chain reaction really started.
So that is the 65 of George Atkinson Jr. that's up on the wall where all of the track officials and safety officials are working to get him out of that race car. There the hood goes flying off the 28s. And then most recently, the chain reaction, slow start on the outside line for the 15 of Rod Johnson Jr. and they collect behind him. So the red flag came out and they are continuing to work on getting out George Atkinson Jr. from his number 65. We'll be back with more from Irwindale after this. George is out of the number 65. They put him in an ambulance and took him just outside the racetrack. Everyone with the exception of George Atkinson Jr. has been checked and released. There you see Ricky James's car as they're pulling that into the infield area.
Sometimes that damage is worse than it looks because of the body being sheared away. But remember, this body, just made out of fiberglass. See the drive shaft turning inside.
Jim Trado.
Well, with Justin Philpott, who was swept up in that accident as well, Justin. Your car looks pretty banged up. Good to see you're okay, been cleared by the medical staff. But take us through what you saw as the field wadded up in front of you.
Well, I think the guy in front of me missed a shift. Went to go underneath him. Had a pretty good run on him. Next thing you know, I had a car on top of my hood and kind of just held on tight and shut my eyes and waited for whatever to happen. I mean, I feel bad for everybody else that got involved. I hope everybody else is all right. It's kind of a tough night. I mean, our race is shortened because of time restraint. We, tried everything to get to the front. Didn't have too good of a qualifying run. Just everybody's wanting to win, to be on TV and for the glory, and stuff happens. I mean, that's part of racing. I mean, that's why we work on these cars 10, 12, 18 hours a day, But I don't know. We'll get it fixed, and we'll probably be back next year.
You've had a lot of emotional highs recently, winning the Stockton 99 Track Championship, following your dad's footsteps, then making your debut after making it through the Open last night to race in the K&N Pro Series for the first time. How has your experience been this weekend up to the disappointing end now?
It's been really good. A big learning curve. Learned a lot about this racetrack, a lot about the K&N cars. I matured as a driver. I've seen that a lot of it played over to the late model. It's kind of sucks to see it end like this, but I got to thank Tax Sprain. I mean, without them, none of this would be possible. My dad, my grandfather, who's sick in the motorhome, probably watching this right now. Everybody, my brother, my oldest brother bought me a set of tires. I have friends, family at home. Everybody's watching, and everybody puts in a good effort, and it's really no good to see it end like this.
3 generations of Philpott's working on this race team. They also work in the family auto repair business. So guess what? After everybody else's cars gets fixed, their race cars get worked on. And he also just took delivery of that K&N Pro Series car at the beginning of this month. So these team members have worked very, very hard to get here, and unfortunately have a lot of work to do to just get this car loaded on the hauler.
Under a red flag condition, this is why. The chain reaction happening back in the middle of the field.
Just nowhere for a lot of these drivers to go.
The car up on the wall was the 65 of George Atkinson Jr.
It's amazing. They run 30 miles an hour on the racetrack during the caution flag. So this is immediately after the restart. So they cannot be going that fast. And you look at all the damage that we see on some of these cars.
Now they've got the 65 off of the wall, and they'll put it on the flatbed and take it back into the infield area. That's the final car to be moved on the front stretch. Get the racetrack cleaned off and hopefully get back to some green flag racing. Jim Trado.
And now we're able to catch up with Ricky, who's by his race car, or what's left of it, man. What was it like from your perspective, Ricky?
It was pretty wild, and I had nowhere to go, though, and that's what happens. But it was a good run up until then. I was happy. We haven't driven this car too much, and came from the backs, basically last up to like 21st, 22nd, something like that. So half the field and less than half the race. So it was cool. I'm happy with how we drove and how the car worked. My crew chief, Dean Kuhn, did an awesome job. The adjustments were right there, right on. So I was waiting, holding back, but got caught up a little bit. But hopefully it's not, or luckily it's not as bad as it looked, and the chassis still straight. So me and my dad and my sponsor, SoCal Super Trucks, don't have to spend too much money to get back out here for the first race.
And how about that effort you got to get in this race with a competitor loaning you this engine?
Yeah, it's been a rough past 48 hours, but I gotta thank Clay Rooster for lending me the engine, man. That was really kind, really cool, man, for giving me a chance to get back out here. And didn't have a chance to qualify, but everybody for helping me out, NASCAR, and I forget the guys from NASCAR's name, but in Irwindale, everybody, thank you very much.
Look forward to seeing you at the end of one of these races and talking to you. Good luck, Ricky.
Thanks a lot.
Nice young man.
Very well spoken. Still under a red flag condition. They're cleaning up the racetrack, and we'll get them rolling here shortly.